It's funny international football, isn't it? Because as Liverpool fans, and well, as people who are more club than country, whoever you support, you can see it as a bit of a nuisance. And generally it is. Like, I don't think, PSG fans are dancing, down the Champs- Élysées today. But I think sometimes for certain players at certain times it can be useful, and I think for both the players who played in this game, for Florian Wirtz to get his groove going a little bit, to be around familiar players and to score that free kick, is great for him to remind himself just how easy he can find football, and for Conor Bradley just to get that sharpness and get the minutes under the belt. And he's looked a little bit rusty when he's come on. I thought Bradley, again, mitigating circumstances, exactly what Josh said before. You're coming into games that are hard against teams that are set, probably the two hardest teams to play against in the league, I think, Newcastle and Arsenal, in terms of actually trying to do what you want against them. And so I think you've got to mitigate it for sort of Bradley as well. But he's had the injury and he's not looked sharp. And so, getting some minutes in his legs, going out there on the pitch, the fact that he has to show leadership, or he wants to show leadership for his country as well. And I didn't see the game against Germany, but I would imagine it was pretty tough going, because they're playing against one of the best nations in Europe. And so I think it'd be great, because we will need him. I'm not sure what the latest is with Frimpong, but it was after the international break, wasn't it? So we'll find out. Maybe you can ask Arne when you see him later in the week, but we'll find out. But either way, we're going to need Bradley, and we know how good he is. So I think it's a good international break for both of those players, but for Bradley, in particular, getting him back in there, I think is a good thing.
Yeah, long term, Phil, how do you see that right back situation panning out? There's been some talk, some genuine talk that people think Szoboszlai should be a right back long term. It's great to have as an option there. But with Conor Bradley, how highly he's rated, Jeremy Frimpong has obviously come in as well. How do you see that panning out this season?
I think mostly it's good. We've got a variety of options, really. It sort of feels like Frimpong can go and be a really attacking one, like almost like a secondary winger. You've got Szoboszlai, who can possibly do a little bit more midfieldy style right backing, and then Bradley, who feels like the most pure right back of the three of them. So there's just there's three different approaches for different things. I think we're probably going a little bit too far on the Szoboszlai thing as a right back, though. That's
I'm sure he thinks everyone's going a bit too far.
Yeah, I just think that ultimately we've done it as an emergency twice and scored two late winners when he's actually not been playing right back. I think that's right, isn't it? Had he moved against Arsenal? Either way, ultimately he scored a goal that's got nothing to do with him playing right back.
No.
And maybe people would have seen it a little bit differently if he hadn't scored that free kick, in terms of, I would have liked a little bit more sort of pace and aggression from out wide and stuff like that. It's not to do Dan if I think he was genuinely excellent in both games, and I think there's an argument he was Liverpool's best player over the course of both games. But I think it's also that they were good teams we were playing against. I don't really think I would want to see him as a right back at home to Brentford, for example.
No, I don't think
when you're trying to break a team down and be aggressive. I think it's absolutely fine for certain games, because I think there's a world where you might just need to get him on the pitch, and it might be that your midfield, if Wirtz is there, you're looking at McAllister and Gravenberch and going, well, that's the midfield two I would like today, but I'd like Szoboszlai on the pitch as well. I think I said on a show over the summer, he's possibly going to be like a bit of a Swiss Army knife in that you will probably sit there and do the old, what's my Champions League final team? And you put it down on paper, and he probably wouldn't be in it on paper. Then you get to the Champions League final, and he's in the team, and you're going, sound. You're not quite sure where he is. It might be right back, it might be as a 10, it might be as a 8 next to Gravenberch. You don't necessarily know what it'll be, but you know he'll be there. And he makes it a lot easier for everybody else, I think, in terms of he opens the rest of the sides up a lot. So there'll always be a role for him. I'm just not quite sure that he'll be quite as right back as I think people have decided he might be over the last couple of weeks.
I think I agree with you on the whole. I think we will see more of it, and it's the kind of games where he wants all four of them on the pitch. He's got an interesting situation in midfield now, because he's got four belters in there. Listen, I'd say Curtis Jones is a great player as well, but he's shown he's quite willing to leave Curtis Jones on the bench. But for Szoboszlai, for Wirtz, for McAllister and Gravenberch, for the three of them who've been there the last season, they started pretty much every game last year, and then obviously got Florian Wirtz who's coming into play, and so it's an interesting situation there, and we've not really seen how the manager's going to manage it, because of the injuries, and because McAllister wasn't ready at the start, and now Szoboszlai's had to play right back. I think for your likes of Brentford at home, I think he'll use that as an opportunity to rest someone. So last year he didn't rotate too much. That was that design? Was that because he didn't fully trust his options? Or probably a little bit of both, really. But he's talked about wanting to do it a little bit more. And so I think, you know, you talk about not wanting to see Szoboszlai there right back because of the style thing, and I agree with that. I think it makes more sense stylistically to have Frimpong, but also it's a chance to say to McAllister or just sit out. Yeah. You know, we've got Real Madrid on Wednesday or whoever it is. Just so I think we're more likely to see, you know, rotation in those games, and you've got 3 players for 2 positions, and they both play twice over a 3-game period, and he moves them around. Where it will be interesting though is that when we get to the bigger games towards the end of the season, because it's a long way away and you don't know what form's going to be like. Obviously there might be injuries, but it wouldn't surprise me if he does start to try and find a way to get the 4 of them on the pitch as much as possible. And then how is that? I went into the season thinking it was one of the front 3 who might be missing out, but I'm starting to think now he might end up playing him a right back.
The other thing with that is you get into the end of the season and if you're in the mix in the league and the European Cup, you've got big games twice a week for 2 to 3 months. So having the ability to sort of to do that and use him, and you know he can go all day as well, can't he, in terms of he could probably play every game in 3 different positions, not at the same time, but collectively, maybe, and be all right with it, and that allows everybody else to be fresher. You know, I don't think McAllister's probably brilliantly suited to sort of that type of fixture list. So you can take him out, and you can probably put Frimpong in, and you can do all kinds of things, and it'll ultimately work, and it sounds like a problem, but it's not a problem, is it? It's actually a luxury.
I hope you're enjoying this free show at the moment. Loads of excellent, exciting stuff on the Anfield app. If you want to be part of the whole thing, you can download the Anfield app and go from there. Or you can subscribe via the YouTube membership as well for video-only content and other bits and pieces. We love doing these shows. We love that you watch them. So come, be part of the journey with us.